Two Bulls in a China Shop is brought to you in part by our sponsors and friends over at Manscaped, Trade Pro Academy, and Vanta Trading. Manscaped is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming with precision-engineered tools for your family jewels, and with a new and improved 2.0 version of the Weed Whacker now available, it's the perfect time to take advantage of our exclusive offer of 20% off and free worldwide shipping using promo code 2bulls at manscaped.com. As always, that is the number 2. And when it comes to institutional quality trading education, look no further than TradeProAcademy.com. In our free Discord server, you'll find instructions to take advantage of our discount with them as well. And for anyone trading futures, check out VantaTrading.com. Founded by Mr. W. Banks and Baba Yaga, they provide a ton of educational content with the focus of teaching aspiring traders how to build a repeatable, profitable process. Our exclusive discount code for Vanta can also be found in our free Discord server. We'll have all of those links and more in the episode description. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed today's conversation.
You are listening to an entertainment program put together by a company called Financial Ineptitude. Anything said on this show is not an endorsement or professional advice. Would you really want to tell a court of law you were suing us because you thought taking financial advice from two idiots on a podcast put out by Financial Ineptitude was a good idea? Really? Clown hat smiley face.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the China Shop. I am your host today, and joining me and Captain Dan for today's special episode is Vico from Trade Pro Academy.
Trade Pro.
But first, if you'd like to reach out with your suggestions, corrections, or shitty memes, you can do that via email at twobulls@financialineptitude.com, or you can join our free Discord server, where a bunch of amazing people gather to share our struggles and lessons learned with other like-minded market aficionados. So now, without any further ado, let's just dive right into it, because I know Dan's been waiting for a month.
Drum roll.
How you doing, Dan?
I'm doing fantastic. It has been a great start to the week. Recording this on a holiday. I am in a bathrobe and my underwear, doing nothing but enjoying this chat.
Well, who gives a shit about you? Vico, how are you doing?
Doing well. Living the dream.
Where are you at now? In the world tour of Vico.
I'm in Eastern Europe. I'm in Bulgaria for a few weeks now. Before I head off to Morocco, actually.
What do you do when you're out there?
When I'm
what's the scene like
in Morocco or Bulgaria?
Bulgaria.
The scene. I live on a I guess old farm. It's not a farm anymore, but my grandparents used to have a farm here.
Mm-hmm.
And I live in like a rural Bulgaria. It's about 15 kilometers away from Sofia, which is the capital. And
yeah,
I honestly just chill to the max. Like summer's super nice here. Like I wake up, I take my dog out for a walk into the mountains, which is like maybe half a kilometer away from our house. Like we live like literally in the mountains.
that's awesome.
Yeah. And then I just sit down, and when I get back, maybe work out a bit, and then sit down in front of the computer until I go to bed again.
Is there any good fishing up there?
There is for sure. Not too far from here, there's like a few bodies of water where people, older gentlemen, generally frequent, but I'm not really a big fishing guy.
You sound like a fishing guy. Your need for quiet and relaxation.
I love it.
All right. Well, the reason why we've been itching to get you back into the shop is because of the new Trade Pro courses that you put together back in February. And on top of that, you did kind of a slimmed down version of it for free with the workshop that you just did. Was that about 3 weeks ago?
Yeah. You can actually access the workshop on our website. There's like a banner on top of the website, so if you haven't seen it and you want like other content to go along with it, like you can just go and check that out.
That's awesome. I was hoping you're going to make that available. I love that. Make sure we have a link for that in the episode description, because that was a really fun workshop. Nice refresher for people who'd taken the course, and a good kind of look at what you guys do for those who hadn't taken any of your classes before.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So what went into like putting that together? Like how hard is it to throw one of those?
To throw a workshop together, honestly,
Yeah.
I pulled a lot of resources from the Futures course, so it wasn't too difficult. It's just kind of molding the resources to kind of make it a little more beginner friendly, and then just slimming it down a lot, giving you the basics to kind of get people on like the ground level to kind of expose them to what actually works. Like the whole thought process behind this, why I made this workshop was Current market conditions, right? Like they're ever changing. You see a lot of people like getting absolutely destroyed on the way up now. I mean, sorry, on the way down, and then now on the way up, getting destroyed trying to short this thing. So I was like, this can't be right. There has to be another way. So I just wanted to kind of expose. It's like a system. I wouldn't necessarily call it a strategy because you can mold it into different strategies, but a system that revolves around volume that just allows traders to trade literally any market condition, understanding how auction theory works. This is something that I picked up from like a few friends that actually have traded at desks and hedge funds. So not done that by the way, but like they've kind of they gave me a lot of insight on that over the years, like as I was like learning myself. So it's just one of those tools that regardless if the market moves, if it doesn't, where it goes up or down doesn't necessarily matter. You can get a good idea of the direction and the expected moves just based on auction theory. So I just wanted to make that known to everyone rather than people looking at like moving averages, indicators, and random strategies, thinking of different ways the market could go up or down, just kind of seeing it at face value and what volume tells you because volume is going to lead price, right?
Yeah. How long did it take you to kind of master this then? Because I think I remember you saying in one of the, maybe it was in the workshop or one of the courses that it had been like a few
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, it was a few years for sure. I want to say like two-ish maybe, but when it came down to like depth of market learning, I think in a span of like maybe 5 to 6 months, I became fairly comfortable with it. But
Hmm.
that also like involves like hours of replay and just like constantly looking at it. So I still do replay, honestly. After every day session ends, I'll replay the majority of the day.
Hmm.
Really, still.
Yeah.
Do you do that like obviously not real time, so you have to watch that sped up. Do you just go to like the key moments during the day or?
I'll start the open like pre-open for the first 2 hours, and then pick out some key moments into the afternoon,
Hmm.
and then just replay those. I'll even do like snippets, cut them out, do explanations, and post them on the Trade Pro side.
I haven't dug into those, but I know Dan's a huge fan.
Yeah, it's like the
Mm-hmm.
depth of market library, right? I try to populate as much as I can. I was actually in the middle of doing one today, actually, or I'm going to do two today from last week. Because even though this is interesting, because even though like the system is in play, everything's in play, like the analysis is spot on, everything's right. Sometimes, right, the operator he doesn't want to listen, so you can
Yeah, yeah. I got that disease.
you can get yourself in trouble too, even if everything's picture perfect, right? Like,
Right.
fortunately, I do have some experience, so like I was able to get out of some messes the past week, but I consider a bit of it a little lucky too. So I kind of called it a short week last week. But it's exactly why I do the replays, right? Because you're not picture perfect, right? No one's a robot. Like you can slip up sometimes, and it was kind of unfortunate to slip up the week after the workshop as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
So like but if you go watch the lives, right, the morning live room, like analysis, everything was on point. I was saying this is a bull trend. The dom is bullish. Just start buying dips as I'm selling rallies. So it's stupidity. Do as I say, not as I do.
Right, right. Dan, you jumped into the courses kind of as like your first step back after taking some time off.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
want to tell us about your experience?
I took months off,
Hmm.
easily 6, easily while I was moving up to Vegas, and I wasn't even really watching the markets. I was reading the news, and I would show up and I talk to you about the news and what was happening for the show, but I wasn't trading, and I didn't have my mind on trading. And then I stepped back in. This new course came out, and I kind of like binge watched it like it was a Netflix series. I know everybody learns
Yeah,
at their
you
own
did.
pace, but for me, it was like I want to consume this all in one chunk, so like none of it leaves my brain. While by the time I get to the end, I want it all in there. But I managed to come out of that course, and I had the best sim trading of my life. I had
Hmm.
5 consecutive green weeks of sim trading. Now, I've got my own issues with live trading because it's got its own thing. But I've never felt more in tune with exactly what Vico was saying earlier, like reading the market and being able to have a setup and a strategy. Now, whether or not the operator follows that,
Right.
eh, it can be worse. Also, the other thing I found is, and I watched all those Dom videos, and thank you for making them. Thank you for continuing to make them, because
Yes.
I found the longer I go without like rewatching that stuff, the worse I get. Like I
That's
start
interesting.
to just like go from the hip and be like, I got this, and it's like, no, 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 no. Go back, watch. Stay on task.
I'm glad you bring that up though, because that's exhibit A of just like being consistent with the replays. Like I think like no matter how much I progress or like how far into my trading journey I get, I'm still just gonna do replays, right? Like maybe it's not every single day, but it's gonna be 4 days out of the week.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I got to add that to my regiment.
I know. I remember the last time we had a come to Jesus talk with you about stuff that needs to happen if you want to be successful, and it was centered
Journals.
around journaling. Yep.
It
Journals.
revolves around the same shit, honestly. Like it's very very interesting when people are like, "Oh my god, I don't understand why this is working." Like on it, there's two things that you have to do, and they're very simple, but it just requires effort. One of them is have a strategy that you've back tested, that you're testing, that you see consistency in. If you have a strategy that has like a 60% win rate with you functioning at like 80% of your like capacity, I think that's like a golden strategy to start with, right? Number two is like being able to actually um, review everything, your mistakes, the market conditions, the situation, right? And understand that so you can actually get better. Because if you start doing the same mistakes day in and day out, you're just going to dig a hole and it's going to drive you crazy because you're going to be doing the same thing expecting different results, right? It's just not sustainable.
It's also really hard, I think, for a new trader or struggling person to actually go back and confront those mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
It is, but it's just like you have to do it. Like this isn't
Yeah.
like it's you start deep diving into things where you like compare trading to like let's say just like a regular career where okay, let's say I become I don't know, an engineer, right? Engineer, I go to school, I know the theory, I apply the theory, everything should be like fairly picture perfect. There are some problems to be solved, but you generally have a guidance to the solutions.
Right.
In trading, it's not the same, right? You read the theory, you look at the theory, you go in and actually do it. You're like, holy shit! Like, what do I know anything? Like it's just
Hmm.
you just can't do that, and you always have to be like reminding yourself and learning and like reliving those moments. And like, it's gonna be painful. It's gonna be horrible. Like, and when you have shit red days, like I had, I don't know. At the end of it, I don't think it was red, but like it was saved by some like swings on futures. But like it was like a red day trading day, and I was like, oh god, I gotta go and relive this now. But it doesn't matter, right? Like at the end of the day, the more consistent you become, the worse the red days feel.
Yeah.
Not because it's a
Ah.
number, but because you should do better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Self judgment. It's been happening to me. Like, ugh.
Yeah, like the number doesn't matter. Like the number to me, minus like 100, minus 200, minus 2,000. I don't care about the number. I care about that I didn't do a good enough job, right? And I should have because I've been consistent for a while, right? It's just like something's not adding up. So like I was like super hard on myself and I was like, this is bullshit. So like I just had to go and review it.
What's fun, I like the way that you brought up the engineering analog because, like, if you're a bridge builder and you're trying to go and build a bridge, like, you have formulas that say if I build it with this safety factor and this load capacity, then the bridge will be fine. And
Yeah,
you know that you don't do that. Like, if you're a trader and you're trying to do the same thing, like 40 to 60% of the time, the bridge is going to fail, and you did everything right.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
it's a hard thing to wrap your head around.
Exactly.
Yeah. Especially all the screaming kids that went off the bus when the bridge failed.
Yeah, exactly. All those screaming dollars down down the into the water.
Ah!
I was just thinking about the bridge example. I'm like, oh, maybe I picked a bad one. What was that? It's the Tacoma Narrows Bridge that they built brand new, and like it just got that resonance in it from the wind blowing, and it just toppled out.
Oh my god.
I didn't hear about that. That's insane.
That's a really that one happened a while ago. It's got that video of the thing like twisting side to side, like almost 45 to 90-degree angles.
Because the wind just got it.
Yeah, it was a resonance. Like it started with a little movement, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger and
So
bigger.
that volatility, you got to watch out for that volatility.
A trader built
Yes.
that bridge, is what you're telling me.
Probably.
Look, as long as
Oh,
this
man.
bridge can hold the higher highs, we're fine.
Yeah, there it goes.
Right. Well, one of the things that I started doing after watching the courses in the workshop was that I actually grabbed my journal, like a paper one, and I just spent like 2 weeks basically watching the volume levels that you helped us or showed us how to identify, and then just watching the DOM interact on those points. And I gotta say, like, just spending that time just observing like doing it intentionally and just writing down like key findings, I felt like I was learning more in that 2 week period than I think I've learned all of 23.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like I've been working with like some people at Trade Pro, and they're like, there has to be some like catch to this. I'm like, it's like it's volume. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like you anticipate areas that strong-handed buyers and sellers would attempt to position themselves, and you watch for them to happen, right? Like they're educated guesses based on information that you have, right? The expectation of
Yeah.
something
Right.
happening, right? And that's the hypothesis, and then you just wait for that confirmation. It's all it is just distribution theory and auction theory, like how markets move based on market participants. And when you understand that, you start understanding like how the market moves, the expected areas, the expected moves, and even like direction to an extent, right?
Right. So you are working with some people on this. So like, what are the common struggles that the people that you try to teach this to one on one have with it?
I think some of the common struggles are when it comes to auction theory is understanding the levels at which like you have strong market participants like ledges. Sometimes it can be like a little iffy, but like they're like, oh, okay, well, how do I know it's this ledge and not that ledge? Well, I'm like, okay, well, you're not going to have it to the exact freaking tick, first of all. Like,
Yeah.
second of all, if you
Yeah.
get it,
Right.
second of all, if you get it to the point, you're doing pretty freaking good. If you get a 5 point area, right, I think that's fairly solid. You start working your way from there, right? Like you start doing it more and more, and you start watching how they actually interact. Okay, this is good, that's not good, and it's just process. Like you just eliminate things that you were concerned about as you practice it more. Another thing is the depth of market reading, right? There's a lot of questions about that because there is some ambiguity to it. If it was as easy as seeing like 1,000 lot buyer step in and you start buying with them, right? Then we wouldn't have a market. Everyone would be doing it. It's
Mhm.
Right.
understanding that you're watching tape as tape interacts with itself. So buyers and sellers interact with one another, and you notice when there's like icebergs coming in. You notice when there's absorption coming in, and all these things, right? They're repetitive. However, they're not repetitive in the sense that they'll come out with the same numbers and the same exact pattern every single time, but it's going to be repetitive enough that if you spend enough time looking at it, you're going to start noticing certain patterns that repeat, that repeat, that repeat, right? They all start kind of melding together. So it's the main thing that I tell people is just like take your time with this because it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in 3 months. It might not happen in 6 months, but as long as you put the effort in, you put as many hours in as you can, like you'll start to see things because a lot of people expect to like, okay, I learned the theory, right? Let me just throw things at it. Well, it's just
Yeah.
like give it some time, like understand what you're looking at first and how you're looking at it, then start replaying it, practicing it, and seeing how they actually interact because I can't give you a magic formula that says XYZ happens, go long, go short. I can tell you theoretically, yes, but then you have to observe as it happens.
Yeah.
Right.
I really like sports analogies for this because I can show you on a piece of paper how the arc and the parabola for that basketball to get in that hoop works.
Yeah.
But until you actually go down on the
Right.
court and play with the ball and shoot for 10,000 hours, you're not going to be really, really good at basketball just because I got all the theory down. No, you have to go do it. You're going to fail a whole bunch. You're going to miss a million shots before you can consistently make shots. That's just a fact.
And then you take that a step further, right? You do that like by yourself, right? Let's say you practice by
Yeah.
yourself, you're shooting hoops by yourself, but then you throw a defender or two at you, right? Things change very, very quickly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. Now you got
okay.
somebody trying to
Okay.
keep you. Even if you've got people on your team that are helping out. I don't know. I always tell my wife
I've
when she
I've
asks.
been your teammate, Dan. I know how helpful you are.
I don't know if that's an insult or not. Shit.
Take it as you will.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I always tell my wife that I'm trying to find where the elephants are.
Yeah,
Like I
exactly.
want to enter. Yeah, I want to spot. Like I know that there's going to be a big seller and a big buyer today, and I want to ride wherever. I want to get in wherever they're getting in.
Exactly.
That's all.
It's
That's
actually,
all I want to do.
that reminds me of one of the things that came up in the workshop and in the new courses is it's a stark contrast from the original course that George put together when we
Yeah.
talked about liquidity magnets and the large offers and the market tending to move to and through liquidity. You You mentioned that maybe that was true at one point in time, but you don't think it is necessarily the case now. I'm curious to hear your thoughts more on
I
that.
think that liquidity is found in a different sense now. I think liquidity is supposed to be found. I think it always was found this way, but before, when you look at liquidity orders on the DOM, like large orders, like let's say like 10 years ago, they have that magnetism, right?
Mm-hmm.
This time, liquidity orders aren't as easily spotted. Um, Liquidity orders would be past orders that have traded. They can be mainly past orders that have traded or expectations of where strong handed traders are located. So when you watch order flow, right, you want to take into account where these large reactions of buyers and sellers previously occurred, right, being areas of liquidity and that start directional moves, right? So it's kind of like supply and demand to an extent. That's where you find big market participants based on those large ledges in the distribution. So that's where strong-handed buyers and sellers do get activated. Now, you can do the same thing where price hasn't traded yet, like let's say for the upside. If you take a look back in time where those strong areas of market participants occurred, right? Big ledges in the past, so on and so forth. But if you notice, for example, I think it was like a week or two ago. I don't know when it was, but I was calling for a long off 4180 for a swing trade into 4300. The reason for that is there was just continuous buying by strong-handed buyers on the depth of market over the past few days at that level. So I'm thinking,
Mm-hmm.
like, if it comes back down, they're probably just going to sustain that area and open up the upside. Now, when you talk about liquidity on the DOM in terms of big orders, I only think they're valid if price is extremely close to them and you want to see how they trade.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, if it's like 40 points away, I'm not expecting it to get there.
No, what about like one thing I've tried experimenting with this past couple weeks is when price gets out of like an area where I haven't mapped in like over a year, then I was trying to use those as like an identifier of where those big market participants might be waiting.
Mhm.
Not necessarily like initiating anything off of them, but waiting for price to get to those and then watching to see what happens when the DOM starts lighting up. Like are more people showing up with them, or is he just getting run over?
Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of people had that question too because we've traded areas where they haven't been traded in over a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like when you want to find areas like that, when you want to find ledges and large market participants that have traded there in the past, like what you would do is just go back on a volume profile that like has a lot of the data from those areas, right? So like
Mm-hmm.
if I pull up a chart quickly here, obviously you guys can't see anything, but for
We'll pretend.
for example, like
Mm-hmm.
if you have an area let's say on Nasdaq, right, and you go from between like June 2021 and April 2022, there's just a cluster of price action that has traded where we've recently broke out of to the top, so you can find where those like large areas of market participants are expected to be.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what's next for you guys then? Are you planning on redoing like the options course anytime soon?
I have plans for the options side of things as well as like longer term swing trades and investments to kind of open that frontier. I also want to do more on the future side, talking about micros and scaling with like micro accounts, swing trading with micros. A lot of things to do around micros because I think it's a severely underutilized tool and everyone wants to jump to minis, but they don't realize that like micros are extremely powerful.
That's funny. I don't see a whole lot of people actually trading the minis
Yeah, not really
anymore these
anymore
days.
for sure. But like I've talked to a bunch of people that like have these expectations to trade micros for like a month and just start going into minis.
Yeah, everyone wants to scale up to them, and but I think I'd rather trade 20 micros rather than two minis because I want the flexibility of being able to scale off like,
Yeah,
you know, a
yeah.
third here, a third there. Like when you're stuck with one or two contracts, you suddenly get a lot less flexibility on how you can exit and try to maximize the profit potential.
Just mathematically scaling micros is you just it moves exponentially faster than scaling minis.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Like that's just it's just mathematically doesn't make sense to me. When I was looking at it in my spreadsheets, it was like I don't want to switch to minis until I'm trading like nine.
Right.
Mhm.
Like
And then at that point, like
And then it's
That would be an
more
awesome problem to have. Yeah.
an awesome problem to have, right? And even then, it still might slow you down in terms of like you can take this week's, if you had a really green week, if it's micros, like, oh wow, I can add 4 or 5 micros to each trade.
Yeah,
But if it's
exactly.
minis, it's like I still gotta wait. Oh, still waiting to get enough into
Right.
that account to add that next mini. Like, no. You'll get a lot faster, a lot quicker. Sticking to micros longer.
Be nice if you could trade them both at the same time.
You can.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
How does that work?
you just open a micro position and a mini position.
You just have to have two
Oh, so you
DOMs.
need two DOMs?
Yeah,
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 that's
yeah.
what I mean, without having to do that.
But without having, okay, well, you want everything now.
I do, yes. Probably get Robert to program something if we really wanted.
I know. Back to what you were saying before, like there's a shift in the educational content now that we're moving towards these new courses. I went back and I started watching George's old video on breakouts, and I stopped because I thought
Really?
it was all about the footprint, and I'm like, I'm not using the footprint to trade, George. Like, I felt like if I kept watching, it was going to distract me from the things I was doing that were successful.
Yeah, I
And
think
that's
like footprint especially, I think there is some place for it, but realistically it's just like an auxiliary tool that comes after the depth of market because all the information that you could possibly want and need are on the depth of market.
yeah.
Yeah, you don't even use a footprint at all, do you,
No,
Vico?
not really. Like I can use a I'll use a footprint sometimes to like confirm there might be stuck traders, but I feel personally that that's what it's only good for.
I kind of like it for like just the history, like to be able to go back and look and see like what happened like 20 minutes
Yeah.
ago. But that's, and also it's the one thing I can look at without getting sucked into the DOM. Like I find that the DOM has to be covered up at all times unless you're in an area. uh, that might actually be why the replay is so important to being able to trade with this like consistently and well. It's because you need constant reminder of like what you're looking for,
Yeah, exactly.
because it's such a nuanced thing that's
hmm
it's not black and white. I mean, it is when you see one versus the other in the moment, but like when you're waiting for something to happen, waiting and waiting and waiting for that confirmation, you can start to play, your mind plays tricks on you and you start to see things when you shouldn't.
Yeah, the thing with that is like I think you like people just generally need a little more experience on the depth of market to understand like where areas are and where they aren't because like you said, if you're a little newer to the DOM, everything can look like a good trade, everything can look like a reactive trader, but like once you get a little more understanding, it just becomes okay, you have an area trades. Okay, next is you're watching if the DOM is bullish or bearish.
Hmm. And then
And then you're either in the trade already or you're waiting for some other trade.
and then
And then you either win or you
hang
lose.
on, wait, talk slower. Hang on, I'm writing. One thing that I find myself doing a lot when I'm watching the Dom with Dan is like, oh, this looks bullish. Oh, this looks bearish. Oh, this looks bullish. Oh, this looks bearish. I find myself flip flopping a lot like
Yeah.
that. Like, is that something that just means I need more time watching it, or
Yes.
is there something I can do to kind of like filter out that noise?
I think that the more you watch it, the more you'll understand it. Realistically, when it's not, I think the main focus for newer traders and learning the DOM, just really focus on the areas like you were talking about that you expect trades to actually happen, and then the rest of the DOM, just observe and see what you can learn, and then go in the replay, relive that, right? Because then you start noticing what does a bullish versus bearish DOM look like, right? Where is the transition point between the bullish and the bearish
Ah,
DOM? Like a bullish
hmm
DOM is probably just going to rebid the whole time with like weaker offers coming through. Even if the offers pull it down a few points, it's just going to be weak.
right. Interesting. Friends, family, and loved ones, I bet you haven't purchased a Father's Day gift yet, have you? Not to fear, the leaders in below the waist grooming are here. I'm talking about our friends at Manscaped. They're saving the day yet again with the total package for father figure in your life this year. It's time to upgrade his game from waist to face with this exclusive offer. Have him join the 8 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get 20% off and free shipping with the code 2bulls at manscaped.com. I'm supposed to tell a funny manscaping story or talk about how hairy my dad is, but I'm really not that close with my father. He does like a good beard trimmer, though. But for those of you who are familiar with your father's grooming routines or lack thereof, then you can start with the Ultimate Father's Day MVP, the Performance Package 4.0. Inside this package, he'll find their signature Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the brand new Weed Whacker 2.0 ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver, Ball Deodorant, Crop Reviver, Toner, and Performance Boxer Briefs, and a travel bag to hold all of his goodies. And we can't forget about the moneymaker. Manscaped has absolutely changed the game with their new Beard Hedger Pro Kit for fathers around the world. Included is the Beard Hedger Trimmer, Beard Shampoo and Conditioner, Beard Oil, Beard Balm, and 2 free gifts with their signature beard comb and scissors. This is the perfect gift for those of us who have had a normal childhood. And we all know dads love comfort. If his grooming routine is already dialed in, make sure to hook him up with Manscaped's Boxers 2.0. These are without a doubt the best boxers for men of all ages, and it's sure to give you that awkward moment we all love when your dad sees you bought him underwear for Father's Day. So whether he's mowing the lawn, taking out the trash, or golfing in the sun, these moisture-wicking boxers breathe without breaking a sweat. So get 20% off and free shipping with code 2bulls at manscaped.com. It's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code 2bulls. Make this Father's Day one you won't forget with manscaped.com.
What was one? I'm trying to think of some of the other struggles I've had with trying to utilize this. Picking points like when with the fade opportunities, like when price starts to extend and comes to like the edge of a distribution where I expect there to be some people showing up. Trying to tell the difference between like covering people just closing out their positions and actual like big money getting in and loading up at that spot to push for the next move lower.
The thing is, like whether they're closing or opening positions, it's not necessarily like you can't really distinguish it that well. And it's not necessarily that important because regardless, it's just like a change in liquidity.
Mm-hmm.
So like if someone's closing out positions like after a strong run, like up or down, whatever the case is, it's still gonna reoffer, rebid, and show you an inflection point that's worth like 5, 10, 20 points maybe.
Interesting. Dan, what do you got?
Shit, nothing but psychological problems.
Let's
No,
hear 'em.
let's hear them.
Trading related, not
No,
like
got some ideas.
it's. I'm currently dealing with like I got myself so boosted up by taking the time off, watching the newer courses, understanding them because I've had the hours and hours and hours of screen time.
Mm-hmm.
Going sim and kicking a ton of ass, and then going live and losing a ton of money. Like it's that psychological like I sit down and then like I fall right back into all these like old habits, and even like part of them in the back of my brain's like, Dan, what are you doing? You should have stopped trading 2 trades ago.
I feel like we should also clarify when you say tons of money, that's all relative.
Tons to me.
You're talking about a $30 Apex account, right?
No. I have shrunk my AMP account by half. I built it up by 50%, and then now I'm down 67%, which means
Gotcha.
I have half of what I originally put in.
Okay.
I think that if it's like an issue of over trading or like the inability to like discipline yourself, honestly, you should just start having a hard lock on your account, like after XYZ loss, and then just like at a certain point, like some of these things, like they're not easy fixes, and they're something that you just have to sit down and do realistically. Like it's like no exercise or blah 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 can necessarily save you unless you just decide to do it, you know. Like it's better every day to take like let's say like $50 loss than like have a $20 gain than a $200 loss the next day. And like if it's just like a disciplinary action like that, you just have to lock your account, have a daily lock, have a weekly lock, and then that's just it until you learn.
My issue is bringing other stuff into my life, into my trading. It's really hard for me to like leave it at the door.
I find that too, honestly. Like sometimes when I'm on the best headspace, like things do go awry. Even like if I have swings that are counter my day trades, which is exactly how you're supposed to do it. If I have short swings, I should be looking for long day trades. I shouldn't just be looking to add to those shorts.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, why is that? Because it's like a hedge to your one position?
It kind of is like a hedge.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you swing futures too?
Yeah, I do.
Wow. What's the longest you've held one of those?
A few days actually. That last run from 41.80 to 43.05.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't on size though. Don't get excited.
Yeah.
I don't care what kind of size it was. 1 micro would have been nice with that.
Right. Right.
Right. Let's see what else we got on here on this list.
I really, really have stuck on what you're saying about like you're replaying the days every day, at least 4 days. I definitely need to add that to my regimen. I have not been doing replays, and
I have not either, and I
yeah,
don't know why it's hard to bring yourself to do that, but
yeah,
I also didn't journal for a long time either, and I also found out that that worked out really nicely when I started.
yeah, right, right. And I'm hard on myself in my journal too.
Hmm.
Like, why did you take this stupid fucking trade?
Try to be more constructive too, though.
Okay, I was gonna say.
It's not going to get anywhere with that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I
Okay.
like to say, it's not a loss unless you refuse to learn from it.
Yeah. Like I, the thing with replays and journaling is just like you'll see like crazy progress. Like people who don't do it are just like honestly astonished.
Well, I mean, it's funny too because I've seen the progress that journaling gave me, and
Hmm.
every time like I sit down and like try to kick it up into high gear, I see immediate results from that effort. So why do we have such a hard time doing new things that we know are going to make us successful from the people that we talk to? Like, what does that mental block come from?
It, I fit like at a certain point, it's just like I don't know. I speak from experience, but it's just like how on like as weird and corny as it might sound, just like how badly do you want this to be a reality?
Yeah.
And that's what I think I keep coming back to is like if once you've like used all the things that you can think of to try to get better, and if they don't work, then you're left with the question of like, well, fuck, now I've got nothing to try, and
The
I've lost the
thing
dream. Like you lose the dream.
I agree. The thing with trading futures is the way I see it, the way I've created a system, the way I implement the system is that there's no new things to learn for me in terms of theory. There's new
Hmm.
things to learn for me in terms of risk management, scaling, managing trades, right? But when it comes down to theory, right, I've gone through what I've developed into a system that is consistent, right? That has results. But when it comes down to that, I'm not adding new things. I'm not taking away new things because that just disrupts the workflow. But I'm learning in other aspects.
Hmm. Like how to fine tune your execution or to improve your mental state.
Exactly. Like little things, like little tweaks, like mental state, learning more about yourself. But like the second you find a strategy and you test it, you back test it, you have results and confidence, stop trying to add different things and just put all your effort and energy into using that strategy as it's meant to be used.
Hmm.
Ah, okay, interesting. Yeah, because I think one of the things that I found over the last 2 years is that like I'll back test something, I'll get excited about it, I'll go forward test it, I'll have success for a few weeks with it, and then I'll have a bad week, and then suddenly I'm ready to just scrap everything and start over again.
But that's operator error. That's not system failure.
Yes.
Hmm.
Most of my issues are operator error, I believe.
Yeah.
And
It's
then
crazy
this is
how this transitions from hey we're learning about numbers and charts and graphs to all of a sudden like now we're into philosophy and self-reflection, self-control. Like it's
it's
Right.
it's
wow.
true though. Like when you the thing with a system and like what I've found works for myself is the more I see it work and the more I see other people use it and it works, the more confidence I have in the system so I don't have the operator errors.
Mm,
Mm.
The more confidence I build in the system, the less I think about it on the personal level, and the more confidence I have that it'll be good at the end of the day. It'll work as long as I do what I need to do,
hmm.
and it just that confidence is just like a spiral of things, like puzzle pieces fitting together, right? And just constantly going and going and going.
So, what do you do when you have confidence struggles?
I did like last week, and the thing is, like, I was like, holy shit, like, what the hell's going on? Like, I've had like years of consistency, and now this shit. Because, and then I saw, like, I was like, okay, this is for sure just like an operating error. Go back, review everything, watch the live session as I talk about how this is a bull, and short it. And then I'm like, okay, it was just clearly I had other external factors kind of playing into this. And it didn't happen just one day, right? It happened 3 days last week. And I was like, I know what the issue is. I just have to like walk away at this point and then just review and replenish for next week.
Yeah, it's hard to do.
Do you have certain things that clue you into like when you need to walk away? Like
Yeah, for
how
sure.
do you identify that?
Like those for me, they happen fairly early, right? When I'm, for example, when I'm watching, like when I do my plan in the morning, and for example, we open in a distribution where the probabilities for the bullish side are very high,
Hmm.
and the market opens, and I see just constant bidding in the market, and my first short comes into a bid like that, and it just gets stopped. I'm like, okay, well, obviously I was reading this correctly. I'm just not doing it right. Like I have to either walk away or just start buying it.
Hmm.
God, that's tough to do.
Yeah.
That's so tough for me to do anyway.
Well, it's hard to recognize it in the moment.
Yeah, that's
So
what I'm
like
saying.
having, yeah.
Yeah, so that's another thing. Just like take it step by step, and like a lot of people just like they like rush into it. Everything's super fast paced in their mind. Everything's racing, right? Like take it as slow as possible. Even if you miss the trades and don't do any trades, just keep taking it slow until that kind of comes out and you start actually acting on your analysis, right? Because when the market opens, honestly, everything just goes like black a lot of the times, and you're just like there, just touching buttons, right?
Right. Yes.
And it's just wait 10, 15 minutes, wait half an hour, wait for the initial balance to form. That's the first hour of the trading session.
Right.
And then see all the information that you've accumulated, right? And then you slowly ease yourself into something like this, especially if you're having issues with stuff like that.
Do you find that your trade success goes higher, like the deeper into the session you go?
No, for me, honestly, like I've it was like that like a while ago, but at this point, like trading based on areas and understanding, I've noticed no difference in success rate during any periods of the trading session. Like I trade London Open sometimes because I have good hours for it. I trade pre market
Hmm.
sometimes because I have good hours for it. I have a
One
trade
other
on right now.
nice. One other thing that I've noticed in during the period I've been observing in is that it seems like you actually get a lot more opportunities at those key areas than you would think.
Yeah,
Like it
yeah,
seems like we have in our minds that they're going to be a lot of one-touch bounces, but
No,
no, they
that's
actually
rare.
rotate there a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think just doing that observation challenge, and I know you guys are a big proponent of doing that, where you take like 3 weeks or a month to do nothing but just watch and observe and journal. Like that really helps you see just that helps slow it down for you. Like, okay, I've
yeah.
got 20 minutes to get this trade off. If I really want this level, I can spend some time observing here and make sure that this is going to hold.
Yeah, and I would submit, because I did not think this way when I first got started, that watching and journaling, like Kyle just described, is trading. You don't have to be sim trading. You don't actually have to have some position in a program to be trading. Like, no, like if you're actively watching those charts and those levels, like you're trading.
That's a great point, Dan. Because yeah, it is all about building that screen time and pattern recognition. That's 90% of what we do, right?
Right. When I first started those challenges, I was antsy and I was like squirming in my seat. I'm like, I want to be trading. I want to be trading. And it didn't ever occur to me like, no, that's what you're doing right now. Like you've got to get
Mm,
this data in your head to be trading. Like you don't
I like that.
this engineer thing. Like you don't like I signed up for all these engineering classes. I went to class today. Okay, well, got to start building a bridge. Where's a bridge for me to build? Where
Right,
is
right. I like the shift too, though, that you just mentioned. Like that is trading. Like
it? It is
it's
trading, yeah.
just because you didn't take a trade doesn't mean you aren't trading.
No, exactly. Like if the setup isn't there, like I remember when I was, this wasn't too long ago actually, when I was being way more selective with my trades. I'd
Hmm.
have 3 trades a week, maybe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. This wasn't long ago. It was a few months ago, honestly. Like when I first came to Europe and I was like taking it easy,
Hmm.
um, like maybe October, November, December of last year, it'd be 3 trades a week, maybe something like that on average, right? Very, very low trade quantity because it was just waiting for things.
And do you? Is it just because you got more confident in like the environment and your situation to where you can take more trades now, or are you
Yeah,
just seeing more opportunities now that
it's
you're?
I try more opportunities. I know some are better than others, so that's where sizing differs, obviously.
Hmm.
But I'm a little more comfortable in the environment that I'm in, so I can kind of push it a little more. But like I change size all the time. So like something that's like high probability in a key area, I'll go like max size, and then other things that I'm just like, yeah, try it, throw a few lots on, and see what happens.
I feel like that's what that comment right there is what gets me into my most trouble.
I'll try it.
I'll just give a shot here, see what happens.
Well, it has to like be qualified still,
Yeah, yes.
like good enough to give it a shot. Like you'll see XYZ shape up, it's a part of your plan, and then you'll say, you know what, I'm not super confident in it, but I see things happening that I want to happen, so I'll size down significantly.
Yeah.
Can we talk about plans for a moment?
Of course.
Now that you just brought that up, since that's a good segue. Uh, like, what goes into a good plan? What should your plan entail?
My plan entails in the morning, I'll take a look at what distributions look like. So distributions on a larger scale, I'll look at like daily charts and see where we sit in terms of those very big distributions. I'll take a look at an hourly chart as well, see where we sit in terms of those big distributions. Are we in a balance? Are we outside of the balance? Then I'll take a look at market profile with a volume profile and see what happened on the overnight session. Where are there tails,
Hmm.
unfinished business auctions, and then see where the opening print lies, right? Because if we open within a distribution, the chances we stay within that distribution are extremely high. If we open outside of the distribution, that's what we call a trend day.
Right. But when you have those levels, do you have like specific trades planned out for those
Yeah,
areas, or you
yeah,
just have
yeah.
spots that you're looking to watch for?
No, no. Like I'll want to buy or sell specific areas based on where strong-handed buyers and sellers are anticipated to show up.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What about targets?
Targets as well. Like targets are ends of distributions, key ledges where you expect again strong-handed traders to show up.
So you probably get a lot of trades that you're holding for quite a period of time then.
If they hold out, yeah, because like I don't necessarily, unless it's like a very high confidence move, I'm not just gonna sit in a position with my stop at like -3 points while I have like a 20 point profit expecting 6 more points.
Right, right.
Or even like a 10 point profit and I'm expecting 20 more points, right? Like if it pulls back to my stop, well, that's just kind of like negligent on my behalf.
Yeah. I've had that happen quite a few times, but
Yeah.
that's because I've found that I'm not good at moving my stops. I tend to move my stops right where I should be adding and then
That's
get
another
taken out at like
thing.
the worst point.
When it comes to trailing, I get this question so many times, which is why I've done so many replays on this, and I put it in the depth of market library for people to watch. But like trailing is it's one of the things that I was the worst at, and now it's one of the things I'm the best at. So like
Mm,
when it comes down to trailing, like I don't touch stops until my first area of profit has been hit. Now that might sound kind of wild because like some people are like, okay, well if you have this profit, why don't you just like kind of manage it? Well, it doesn't in the longer term. It doesn't match the risk to reward
mm-hmm.
that I've kind of put in place because if I start taking 4 point wins here and there, 5 point wins here and there, and I'm taking like 3 point stops, so it doesn't it's not a good risk to reward for me, right? It's not
Right.
something that I'm comfortable with. And then when it comes to trailing, right, after I take that first profit, and let's say I have 3 more lots on, I have my expected targets, but I'm trailing based on where the volume profile from the overnight and the day session have accumulated. So I just hide behind big buy or sell deltas. I hide behind big orders by a few ticks. So if it does pull back, then I have a pretty good chance of staying in, right? So
Mm-hmm.
usually I do have a pretty wide open profit on trailers because that's just how the market's moved.
Right.
And then you have to ask yourself like, am I okay with having this open profit and pulling back, or do I just want to take the open profit? And there's no right answer necessarily, especially if you're learning, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
want the whole move, then you have to risk that open profit. But if you if you're learning, I think it's if you're asking yourself those questions, better just to take it off and gain the confidence that you could win.
Right. Right.
Yeah, some of my favorite days have been when I set like if I have more than 20 points, I'm gonna stop,
Yeah,
and I'll hit it and I'll stop and I'll just feel great all day,
yeah,
great all day. It's like, hey,
Right.
I hit my 20 points. Now, granted, if I was stopping on a day when I lost 10 points, I probably wouldn't feel so great, but it would be more in line with the risk reward that you're talking about. And then my days where I'm down 40 points aren't so devastating.
Right. There should be less of those.
When you have those like big discrepancies in profit and losses and green days and red days, like I think it's pretty pivotal to have like a hard stop.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like that's also a good metric to use for helping yourself identify when you need to take a moment and step back for a day or two, or
Hmm.
maybe you need to go review some stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I personally, and I'm about due to watch them again. The further I get away from watching the videos, and that's one of the reasons why I love your Dom replays so much. Like I don't know about everybody else, but I'm the kind of person where I almost have like a goldfish brain, where even though I'm doing it, like I need to go back and re-reference those materials, get that baseline of like, okay, no, Dan, remind yourself this is what you're here to do. You're not here to let your gut trade. Like you're following a
Mm.
plan, you're making a plan, you're sticking to the system, not like, well, I don't know, this feels like a bullish Dom to me. That looks like they're getting absorbed right there. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. When we start feeling trades,
Yeah.
You saying there's not a lot of good feeling,
I let
like
my
good
gut do the
emotion?
trading.
Yeah, not a lot of good emotional traders out there.
no.
My gut says I do a very good job. So I listen to it. But then again, my gut is also hungry.
I think that's a Futurama joke. Vico, you talked a lot about auction market theory and volume profiling, as well as like just some of the great information that you've gotten from the institutional traders that you've met over the years.
Mhm.
But where could somebody else find like more information on these topics? Like, where's a good source to learn some of this stuff from?
Oh my god. So we have so many free resources on YouTube, honestly. Like if people like dig in, they'll be very shocked to see that a lot of the information is out there for free on our YouTube page.
There's so much on there.
There's so much there, and obviously if you do go to our website, we do have that free workshop slash course that's available to you, also with like additional resources I've added in throughout that. If you go and check that out, there's a banner on the main page. But we have so many resources. Realistically, like these are things that I've compiled over the years. If you go and like siphon through them, but I think it's an amazing place to start. I have beginner stuff, right? I have a little more advanced stuff as well.
Are you guys are doing another free TPA Discord day, right?
Yes.
When is that?
Starting Wednesday and Thursday this week, what we're going to
Ah,
be doing
shit.
is
Okay.
opening up our live room in the
Uh,
mornings.
that's going to be after this comes out,
Okay.
Oh,
unfortunately.
damn.
There'll be
But
another one.
well, I'll make sure to let everybody in the Discord know.
Okay,
You
cool.
know, I'm a big Reddit lurker, and I follow a lot of the stock trading stuff on there. And about once a month, maybe every couple weeks, people post like so and so guru on their Discord channel. This is the video that unmasks him as a fraud, and and I don't really get on many Discord servers other than our own or the Trade Pro. Those are honestly the two that I get on.
Mhm.
And anybody listening out there, let me tell you, like, there's nothing behind the paywall that is like super secret. Like, I'm always shocked. Like that free workshop you just finished. Like I watched it all and I was like, this is like just like hyper version of everything behind the like. Obviously, I want all the information, but like there's nothing secret about your methods. I'm always amazed about how open you are. Like, well, this is where I learned it. This is how I do it.
Yeah, I think it's like it's fairly basic stuff. It's not like some kind of secret indicator or whatnot. Like the value in like being behind the paywall is obviously like the community in itself, and
It's a community. Yeah.
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 and
Oh, for
learning
sure.
like the nitty gritty from the course and like all the other resources that we have that are just like constantly updated. That's about it.
Yeah.
Well, I think the fact that it is nothing like super secret or no like special like formulas or anything
Yeah.
that you got to figure out. I think that makes it that's almost encouraging in a way. Like anybody can learn this. It's difficult, but it can be done. The information's out there.
Yeah, the theory itself, like not difficult, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Practice it, understand that it takes a long ass time to be able to read the DOM. That's what everyone mistakes.
Yeah.
Theory is easy to grasp, but if you practice it enough, right, it is something attainable. It's not like some kind of rocket science.
All right, Vico. Before we wrap up, because I know you're probably itching to get out into that sweet, sweet Bulgarian nightlife.
Yeah, the mountains.
Yeah.
That's the closest thing I'm to right now.
You have anything that you'd like to suggest for people that want to learn more about depth of market? Any exercises or resources or anything that you want to leave them with for how to get better at it?
Yeah, for sure. One of the best exercise I think is obviously the replay. But if you're strapped for time and you don't have a few hours in the evening session to do the replay, find those key inflection points that happen throughout the day, right? Go and replay
Mm-hmm.
those moments leading up to them and after them and see how the DOM shapes up. And you can learn a lot from that on its own. And then when you see that, right, where do those inflection points line up with? You'll notice that it lines up with auction theory. So those are a few like ways to reverse engineer the actual moves, and the more you see them, the more you practice them, the more obvious they become. Some of the other resources, like I said, you guys go check out those YouTube videos. There is
Mhm.
so much over there. And again, check out that banner on the Trade Pro Academy website itself, where you can get access to that 100% free workshop. And I've added even other resources throughout that that will be made available to you.
Yeah, yeah, and if you do join Trade Pro, which you should, the community over there, it's not just Vico. There's so many great people, all going through like Kyle and I always talk about. We're always going through the same stuff together, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
there's such value in having a community to lean on and
Yeah.
share your joys and your sorrows. Oh my
And
goodness.
honestly, yeah, if you don't have a community, you can join us. You can join Trade Pro. Join somebody's. Get a
Yeah,
community out there. Get
Yeah.
some support.
honestly, yeah. Like doing it alone is one of the hardest things ever, right? Like
Yeah.
find some people you can do it with, regardless of where it is, like TPA, the Two Bulls Discord, whatever it is.
We'll
Like,
definitely give you a lot of F bombs over in the Two Bulls Discord.
Yeah.
That's
A
your
lot
thing.
more shitty memes in our Discord.
A lot less professionalism, but you got to
Yeah.
find your people, right?
absolutely.
All right. One last question for you, Vico. How's George doing?
George is doing well. I'm hanging out with the family. I talked to him recently. I think Reese went on like some kind of solo trip for like work. I'm pretty sure. So I think that's the first time he's alone with the boys.
Oh,
Oh shit.
wild.
Okay, I'll have to shoot him a message. I saw he
Yeah.
finally reinstalled Discord again, but he's supposed to reach out to me, but never did.
Mm,
Yeah, that bastard.
yeah.
I'll get him back on here one of these days. He's still got to answer for his prediction
Family life. Which prediction's that?
when he said we'd be at 1 million downloads by the end of 22. I think.
Oh, well, yeah, that's clearly his fault.
Yeah, yeah. He retired too soon.
He reti-
We're gonna
Son of
ride
a
his
bitch.
coattails all the way to the top.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't ride his coattails if he takes his coat off.
I know.
Damn it.
Ah, tricky
Vico,
bastard.
thank you so much for joining us today. It is always a great time having you in the
Yes.
shop.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on again.
Well, anytime, man. Anytime you want to come back, just let us know. If you ever
Yeah.
got something you want to announce, man, we'd love having you on.
Yeah, whenever you're bored of jet setting around Europe.
Yeah, exactly. All right, folks. That's going to take us to the end of today's episode. But don't worry, there's so much stuff you can check out at tradeproacademy.com if you'd like to learn more about the stuff that we just talked about today. If you'd like to learn more about us, you can check us out at twobullsinachinashop.com. We'll be back soon with another exciting episode to blast into your ear holes. But until then, smash that 5-star rating like a drunken sailor in Tijuana and take care.
Wait. Am I smashing the sailor, or is the sailor smashing someone else? Am I smashing like I am the sailor?
I mean, honestly, choose your own adventure, buddy. No
Fair
judgment here.
To Tijuana!
Bye, everybody.
Two Bulls in a China Shop is an entertainment program, and all thoughts and opinions expressed in the show belong to the hosts and not of any company. They are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security or investment product. It is only intended to provide entertainment about stocks in the financial industry of trading. If you make trades based on what you hear in this show, you assume all risks for those trades.